Let's go north of the border, back up to Canada, where just a few weeks ago, Justin Trudeau, remember the Prime Minister of Canada, was out there telling us how important it was for us to get rid of these Nazis who are blocking downtown Ottawa and driving all of these trucks, all of these white supremacists that are keeping our country from getting back to normal. Just go along and get vaccinated, shut up, and we will tell you what to do. That's our government. Well, Justin Trudeau flew to 10 Downing Street to meet with Boris Johnson and other world leaders to tell us how we need to support Ukraine and how the tyranny of Western governments is going to crush all of us if we don't pay attention to what's happening in Ukraine. So here's Justin Trudeau talking to us about Western democracy and lecturing all of us about how governments should operate.
Like Putin specifically, cannot overthrow those 75 plus years of peace and stability and still benefit from the economic largesse and growth that comes with that. And that firmness is not just Western democracies like us. That is something that we've heard in our conversations.
Wait, can you pause
all
this?
three of us,
I'd like to know what his math is of 75 years of peaceful stability in Ukraine.
Exactly. Well, of course, not in Ukraine. He's talking about Western democracies specifically have given us, because of democracy, since World War II.
Okay.
Because of democracy, since World War II, we've been at peace. Like Europe, we've all been at peace.
We now, though.
Right.
What did they call that? What did they call that one thing? It was the the Cold War.
Oh yeah, the Cold War, Iraq War,
which I remind you is still going on. Congress has not voted on a close date.
Somalia,
those are not wars. They were never
Kuwait.
declared wars. Stop calling them that.
On and on and on.
Okay, please. I'm sorry I started this and I didn't mean to.
You got to go back to the peace and tranquility of democracy
go ahead.
and what Western democracy has brought us.
World who don't have the same kinds of ties to Ukraine, but are very, very concerned about the violation of the rule of law, the principle that suddenly might be right once again.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Like this is us, you know.
The principle of territorial integrity, respect for sovereignty, the kind of neo-colonialism that Vladimir Putin is trying to impose upon Ukrainians.
All of those things that we as Canadians
stand against.
We stand against it.
Keep going.
We stand for personal liberty. We stand for all of these things.
That's not going to fly. And the strength and the resolve of countries around the world to say, no, this is a moment to stand for democracy against disinformation, misinformation, propaganda.
Oh yeah, we've got to make sure.
He did a good job of that, though, last month.
That we stand against misinformation and propaganda. This is what Western democracies hold dear. So we've got to stand.
Go on. Do we have more
Like
of him?
Putin specifically cannot overthrow.
That's it.
those
Here we go. Here.
75
Okay, we saw
plus
that one.
years of
So I find this hilarious that Justin Trudeau goes to UK, meets with Boris Johnson and other world leaders, and has the audacity to lecture the rest of the world.
Who's he talking to? Who's in that room that's going to be like, yeah, I'm with you now. I didn't see it that way before, but thanks for that.
Thanks to Trudeau coming here, we almost forgot. We almost forgot about the Canadian Freedom Envoy just a few weeks ago. We totally forgot about all of that.
It's probably an empty room.
I mean, I wonder who's there. I mean, I don't know. Here's what he said about misinformation.
I also had a bilateral meeting with Mark Rutte where we talked about the enhanced importance of NATO, continuing to work together to fight disinformation and protecting freedom of the press, and continuing to work strongly with our friends in the European Union. We really want to stand for the freedom of the press. When you're arresting journalists in downtown Ottawa for covering what was happening down there.
No, that was before this haircut. That's over.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, no, here's something that actually, so this was a speech he gave yesterday, right? To stand with Ukraine, to stand with NATO. We stand with NATO and making sure that we're making sure that freedom is on the march, right?
So his military's at the ready?
Oh yeah, they're already funneling money to Ukraine. They've already been funneling money to NATO allies as well. Canada's already been sending millions of dollars to make sure that they have weapons. So these proxy wars that these guys get to run, and they get to then explain to us what values they hold dear. I love this. I love him mansplaining this. Here he was though on Friday talking about tyranny. So just on Friday night, he gave a whole separate speech at a separate event about how we need to stand up against tyranny.
We've come to a moment that, quite frankly,
Oh, I love the Ukrainian flag too that he's wearing.
we've seen coming
A ribbon.
over the past years.
We've seen coming in
We've
the past
talked
years.
about it in the news, not just about Ukraine, but about democracies around the world, that we see a bit of a slippage
Oh, a
in our
slippage.
democracies.
Oh, do we? How? I mean, do you say this without any self-awareness? We see a slippage in democracies over the years. It's slow. It's like a slippage that we see.
A bit of a slippage in our democracies.
Really?
Countries turning towards slightly more authoritarian leaders.
Oh,
Not me, though.
Countries allowing increasing misinformation and disinformation to be shared on social media,
How
turning
dare
people
you.
against the values and the principles of democracies that are so strong.
we would never do that in the West.
And that slippage over the years,
Yeah,
unfortunately, emboldened Putin.
yeah, it does. That
Maybe there's a
slippage,
pill for that kind of slippage.
that seepage, that spillage that you've got. I mean, how do you get up there and literally in front of a crowd with almost like no self-awareness whatsoever about what just unfolded in your country a few weeks ago? Lecture a whole group of people about
representative democracy when you refuse to meet with a certain contingency of your population.
and take away personal freedoms.
Right.
I mean, and impose upon others. Here's the same guy, by the way, Trudeau. As you read more deeply about some of the programs and policies he's supported over the years, he has supported a social media censorship act a number of years ago. It's being rewritten. It didn't actually make it through. It's being rewritten now. So when you sign up for social media accounts, basically you have to then give over information to the government in Canada. Like, these are the types of things that he supports. But we need to be worried about slippage. We really need
Okay.
to be worried about slippage. And you need to be worried about Putin, because he's coming for you, by the way. Thought I'd point that out. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.